So here's my graph between the iPhone 14 Pro Max and 13 Pro Max. I went to replace the battery on my 13 Pro Max to make it even. As you can see, this is my 13 Pro Max, and I got 100% max health, which I replaced last Thursday, the 29th. Cost me $69. As you can see, I was using it heavy today on YouTube and whatnot. So I was using it all day. You can see this isn't a lie. 8 hours and 57 minutes. So this is a screenshot for this one. But anyways, this is mostly on LTE and 5G, which both are. So you can see I started around like 6, I think it was like 5:55 a.m. on both of them. And you can see I was already in the red with the 14 Pro Max. The date tested was 10/3/2022, which is today. For the 14 Pro Max, it was September 20th, 2022. Same iOS versions as well. You can see on YouTube, I was using that the most. I'm actually getting more YouTube hours on the 13 Pro Max over the 14 Pro Max. Reddit was more on the 14 Pro Max. Facebook was more on the 13 Pro Max. And messages was, let's see, a little more on the 14 Pro Max, so it varied. But on both of them, I had, like I said, Wi-Fi. There was no Wi-Fi. It was just basically 4G LTE and 5G auto. Background app refresh was off as well. Maximum battery health was 100%. This was always on display off, I forgot to mention. And most apps used was like social media. So let's go to the second graph, which shows the most. No gaming, like I said. Location services was off. So it actually looks like the 14 Pro Max did better, but in actuality it did not. So if you go to that day, today's Monday, on the 13 Pro Max summary, screen on time, I converted all of this to screen on time, which was 8.82 hours at 29%. So that gives me 12.42 hours screen on time if I discharged from 100 to 0. If on the 14 Pro Max, let's see the summary, screen on time, you got 9 hours and 16 minutes. We were in the red though, remember. At 16% battery, complete discharge, you would get 11.03 hours screen on time. So the battery difference, in actuality, I'm actually getting 1 hour and 23 minutes more screen on time on the 13 Pro Max with 100% max health with 5G LTE and off Wi-Fi. So I just wanted to compare the two off Wi-Fi and see which one does better. And in actuality, the 13 Pro Max does better. If I went complete discharge on the 13 Pro Max, I would get about 19.72 hours without charging from 100 to 0. On this one, I would get the 14 Pro Max 16.67 hours a complete discharge. That's not the screen on time. So that's like a 3-hour difference. So that's interesting to note. But here I was at 30% remaining. Here I was at 16%. So this was off Wi-Fi. Now if we go to my other graph, let's see here. This was on Wi-Fi. This was the last time we spoke. So this was, like I said, 100% max health. October 1st, I did this test with the Wi-Fi. This was on Wi-Fi as well. See, the 14 Pro Max performs really well on Wi-Fi, and 13 Pro Max as well. I put when it was off the charger and when it was on. This actually, the 13 Pro Max got 14.7 hours screen on time, while the 14 Pro Max got 14.833 hours screen on time. So they're pretty head and head neck and neck when it comes to the performance on Wi-Fi. But who's going to be on Wi-Fi all day? The actual test would be the 5G and LTE, I think. So I keep it on 5G auto at all times. And from this test, I can say that the 13 Pro Max outperforms the 14 Pro Max just from the graphs I did and from my usage. Your usage may vary because I'm not using location, I'm not gaming. Those are two different things. I don't use locations, but it could vary with you, with how you use your phone. You can see the graphs too. But I just wanted to compare the two and make sure both have 100% max health, which it did. But this is a reason why I returned the 14 Pro Max and kept the 13 Pro Max, because I knew that the standby time and everything was better, and the graphs show it without Wi-Fi. With Wi-Fi, it's pretty close, but without Wi-Fi, you can see I get over an hour screen on time, so that's big. So in actuality, Apple was wrong when they said the 14 Pro Max gets 1 hour better screen on time, or better video streaming, I think they said, than the 13 Pro Max. It's not correct, unless you're on Wi-Fi, I guess, but like in the real world, it would not be correct. So I just wanted to point that out, and I wanted to point out that the 13 Pro Max actually has a bigger milliamp hour battery compared to the 14 Pro Max. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah, and here I had 4,352 milliamp hour battery on the 13 Pro Max, and the battery spec on the 14 Pro Max was 4323. So they actually put a smaller battery size into the 14 Pro Max, interestingly. I don't like that. And this was when my iPhone was at 95% max health, so this doesn't really pertain. But yeah, I just wanted to do the test between it with Wi-Fi and without Wi-Fi, and I'm actually really pleased. I'm paying that $69 like I did with the 13 Pro Max that I did, because I'm getting outstanding battery life, as you can see. I'm at 27%. I just turned Wi-Fi on because I came home. So I'm actually getting over 12 hours screen on time. And you can see I'm almost using like 6 hours YouTube. It's pretty crazy. Right now, my 14 Pro Max would be dead. It'd be in the red. 100% it would be in the red. I don't know what's wrong with it. Maybe the dynamic island. Let me know if you have the 14 Pro Max or the 13 Pro Max. If you have the 13 Pro Max, I would advise you to stay on it and not upgrade if you're concerned with battery life. Just because the 13 Pro Max is better, in my opinion, the battery life, with regular usage like I do. But, well, thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Took me a while to make these graphs. Please subscribe and like this video. Thanks again. Take care.